wisdom, their insights, and their experiences. And tonight we have the divine company of Sister Jayanti, who'll be sharing her wisdom with us on cultivating gratitude. I think we've been through a lot in the last 3 months managing the global pandemic. It's required a level of resilience from all of us that perhaps we don't often have to use in everyday life. And I'm mindful that gratitude is an essential ingredient in building resilience and also an essential ingredient to living an empowered and meaningful life. So tonight we have the opportunity to brush up on our gratitude as Sister Jayanti takes us through the practical steps to develop an attitude of gratitude. But before I go there, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Sister Jayanti. She's the director of the Brahma Kumaris in the UK, in Europe and the Middle East. And what I really appreciate deeply about Sister Jayanti is that she's an exceptional thinker. She's a visionary and a world-renowned yogini. She was born in India and schooled in London, where she is presently based. And she has that rare capacity to span and bridge the philosophies and spiritual discourses of both the East and the West. She began her practice of open-eyed meditation, known as Raj Yoga meditation, in her teens, and is now one of the world's most renowned yoginis. In this capacity, she travels the globe as a leader and a sought-after international speaker on spirituality and its application to everyday living. And what I've noticed is that she empowers people with the clarity of her intellect and touches people's hearts with her peace and her light. And in the gentleness of ways, she requires people to take full responsibility for their emotional landscapes. Sister Jayanti is a passionate environmentalist and has contributed hugely to the dialogues on climate change by pioneering and delivering a very clear understanding of the connection between our consciousness and the impact our consciousness has on our environment. She's also the author of numerous books on practical spirituality, experiencing empowerment, and experiencing the divine. And I can tell from the questions we've received that many of you are familiar with her writing. Thank you for the questions you left as you registered. She's across them all and will weave answers to your questions in the body of her talk. And for those of you who have access to the chat box, feel free to write your questions and we'll ask them in the Q&A. So tonight, Sister Jayanti joins us from Mount Abu, India, where she's in lockdown. Sister Jayanti, thanks for being with us. It's been a long time since you graced our shores in the Antipodes. And even though it's virtual, it's still a great pleasure to have you here with us. So welcome back to Down Under.
Thank you, Gabrielle, and thank you for the warm, kind words that you've shared. And I'd like to invite everyone just to center themselves and turn inwards, because I imagine that the day has been a busy one. The morning, if you're in another part of the world, has also been busy. It's strange that even in lockdown, many of us find ourselves quite busy. But time just to turn inwards and connect with the being that I am, a being of silence, a being of peace. Let me stay in that inner consciousness of the light that I am, the peace that I am. Thank you. It's a privilege to be with all of you. And so thank you for making the time to join us. I know that there's a huge variety of very rich presentations that are on offer to all of us from across the world. Lockdown seems to have been a time when we've actually crossed many boundaries and we've gone beyond the limits of place and location to be able to meet up in cyberspace and connect with minds that are thinking like ours, or minds that are thinking a little differently, to find out more about all of this. It's a very beautiful subject, one that's close to my heart. And in all the traditions across the world, there's always some sort of feature of Thanksgiving. I know that in Christianity, there are festivals of Thanksgiving. I know that in Hinduism, again, the same. But in particular, I think that when we have our meal, as a child, I was taught to say grace at school, but also at home, to give thanks to the one above who has provided and sustains us. And today, some of you would say, well, it's the universe, it's the earth, Gaia, that is sustaining us. Well, that's fine. Let me take a moment before I eat, before I drink, to say thank you for that also. And so, gratitude is something that we used to be very aware of, but now many of us forget. In today's busy, busy, busy world, before lockdown, we were really chasing our tails. And since lockdown, things are a little bit slower, more reflective, a chance to just think about self and the world and so on. But yet, still, there's many things to do on your list every day, I'm sure. And we don't always think about gratitude. And so today is a gentle reminder that gratitude is absolutely essential if I want to have spiritual development. And even if I don't like the word spiritual, but anyway, if I'm concerned about my emotional well being, and my emotional well being is very much part of my situation of health, physical health, emotional health, spiritual health are definitely linked together. And we've discovered this more and more in these times. My immune system is stronger if I have a positive, healthy inner state in which I'm seeing the world with a vision that's creative and balanced. If I'm afraid, if I'm anxious, if I'm negative, my immunity goes down. So, gratitude is something that lifts your immunity because it's lifting your feelings and your spirit upwards. And so, let me be grateful. And I can hear people saying, but my sister's going through a brain tumor. How can I be grateful? Well, it's important, even at this moment, to be grateful. Why? Because ungratefulness will lead to bitterness, whether the person lives or doesn't live. But the bitterness that I carry in my heart is going to be damaging for my life. And the vibrations that I emit are not going to be very helpful for anyone, especially the person who's sacrificed their life now. But if I'm grateful, what am I grateful for? I'm grateful for having had the opportunity to know this person, to have had a chance to be with them, to think about the lessons that they taught me. What did I learn from them? So, even in a situation of life and death, as somebody has put in a question, and it was the first question that I read, and you can see it really hit home hard because maybe not brain tumor, maybe coronavirus, COVID-19 has impacted some of your family members. One person I know who normally lives in Australia, but she was born in Britain, she went back home. She'd been in India with us, and then many things are happening here with lockdown, etc. So she managed to get a flight back to London, and she was there with her father, actually not with her father, but in the same region as the father. She was in Dorset, and she was there just for 36 hours, and he passed away, and it was COVID-19, and she hadn't been allowed to meet him. Now, she could have taken it in a very negative spirit, but she didn't. She wrote to me a beautiful message in which she said she was grateful that the last few years she had had time to be with him. She was able to support him because after her mother passed away, which shattered her and her father, she knew that she had to support her father. She couldn't be selfish and just think about herself, but she knew that supporting her father was important. So she would come and spend time, a few months each year with him, helping him, laughing with him, just helping in whatever way. And she found a letter addressed to her that was by his bedside, and it said, "You have been a ray of sunshine in my life. Thank you." And so her heart is filled with gratitude that she had that time. Her heart is filled with gratitude that he didn't have to suffer too long, because sometimes the pain of the virus in this particular condition can be not very pleasant. So, yes, it was just 36 hours from being not so bad to passing away. And although she hadn't seen him physically at the end, she knew that their spirits were connected. And I think that's the important thing to the person whose sister is having the tumor. Be thankful, be grateful for the times that you did have together and the lessons learned from each other. Also, know that your thoughts and your feelings are reaching that soul. And so if I'm angry and I'm upset, that's not helping her on her journey. If I'm peaceful and I say thank you to the universe for whatever it may bring, whether it's life, which will be lovely, and if it isn't, it's a journey further ahead. Your thoughts and good wishes and good feelings of gratitude will support that soul on its journey. So I've begun, in a way, right at the deep end, a scenario which could be described as tragic, and it is, but yet there can also be a sense of gratitude within that. And so, coming from that space in which it feels as if there's no light at all, a very dark space, can I now work myself into the light so that what I'm seeing and what I'm experiencing is something which is positive and beneficial, and I can give help to others also. It's a suggestion I've made to many of my friends and contacts, and I'd like to share this particular method with you. Right from your first memories of infancy, childhood, whatever it is you can recall, write down 100 points of gratitude. All the things that you feel grateful for, right from early days and those memories till now. It won't take you very long. It's surprising. We don't always recognize how much we have to be grateful for. But start writing, and if it takes a couple of days, no problem. Just write and write and write. And if it becomes more than 100, which it may well do, fine, no problem. But it'll just highlight for you all the things that you've experienced in your life that today you are grateful for. Second part of this little exercise, once you've completed your full list till now, then the second part is write all the things that you're grateful for that happened today. So this is an exercise for the night. Before you retire, before you fall asleep, make a list of at least 10 points of things that you are grateful for that happened to you today. Next morning, before you start engaging and interacting. So really at the start of the day, basically, maybe after your meditation and your study, whatever it is you find uplifting on a spiritual level. After that period, which is your personal time, then write another 10 points of gratitude. And this time, nothing's happened yet, but maybe something in your meditation has triggered a realization and you're grateful. Maybe one of the things that you've learned in your study is something that you've appreciated and it's been helpful for you. So grateful for that. Different aspects, and do this every day. And you mustn't repeat the same things every day. And you'll find that you start looking for things that you're grateful for, which is a very good thing. The chemicals in the brain actually change when you have positive thoughts and feelings. And the circuitry, now we know that it's plastic. We used to think that by age 7, everything is set and nothing will change in terms of the brain. But now we know that's not true. We know that the brain circuits can change. We can create new circuits. And so every day at night, a list of gratitude. Every morning, a list of gratitude, and magic. The way your brain functions actually begins to change. And so you discover you're not having to deal with criticism or competition or wasteful thinking, and definitely no negative feelings. And so you're not on a roller coaster of up and down, one moment up, the next moment down. But now you've created a steady pattern in which you're ascending every day, counting your blessings and realizing and appreciating, and you're lifting yourself upwards. No need for anyone to support you or help you in this exercise. It's you and what's in your awareness. That's it. You don't need to spend any money on this. Just pencil and paper or your notepad, whatever, and costs you nothing. But the quality of your thinking changes. And what happens when my thinking changes? My world changes. It's a reality. As is my consciousness, so is the world around me. The world in which I am the hero actor on my own stage. But not only the change in my little world, but those changes ripple out. And if because of my gratitude, and gratitude develops compassion and kindness and patience, all the positive, good feelings that we like to have. So as a result of that, I'm feeling good. All these positive feelings are emerging in a very natural way. And consequently, the vibrations that I'm emitting and that's reaching out to others is this very powerful, pure, elevated vibration. And as they're touched by this, and they don't need to know who I am or where I am, but those vibrations work their way and touch others. And they also begin to feel this sense of upliftment. And they also then are inspired to move in the right direction, in a direction that's going to be helpful, creative, and uplifting for them. And of course, then that means they're going to do the same for others also. You know, on a physical level, and I won't go into the detail of the story, but this is based on some research done in Harvard. It was found that one act of kindness witnessed by 5 people, and those 5 people go out and they act kindly, and that touches, each one touches another 5. And each one of those touches another 5. So the impact is +3. And the multiplication is, of course, huge. And every act of kindness touches at least 125 others. And so my vibrations of kindness, of goodness, touch everybody around me, not just 5 people. That was a specific closed door experiment. But now, how many people am I in contact with, even during lockdown? If I'm in one of the essential services, I'm in contact with many, many, many. And I'm meeting people who are the most vulnerable. But even if I'm at home, working from home, in this situation, it's not just the 3, 4 people in my nuclear family, but the people I'm engaging with through technology. They can feel my vibrations, they can see me, they can hear me, they can feel where I'm at and whether my perspective is a positive one or my perspective is a negative one. That comes across through technology also. And so each one, even now, is in contact with many, many others. And this is a time when people need to feel gratitude. It's wonderful that in many countries, at a particular time in the evening, the government, I think it was ordinary people who decided, but I know that in UK, governments have supported it, and in many other countries too. What happens is that if now we come together and, for example, we clap for the healthcare workers, we clap another day for the police, we clap another day for the post people, the post office people, whatever, whatever. But coming together and expressing that gratitude creates such a high level of energy. And that high consciousness and high level of energy creates a ripple across the country and reaches out to other countries also. This started in one country and it reached out to many other countries, and now it's become a global phenomenon. This act of appreciation and showing gratitude and giving thanks. So, cultivating gratitude, the list of 100 points, that's the starter. And then every day, 10 points at night, and morning, 10 points, different each time. And you're making your gray matter work a little harder than usual by the time you've done this several days, but it's worth it. You'll find things that you were just taking for granted, and now you're grateful for them. There's an appreciation. Let's take a short moment to experience what it feels like when I'm experiencing gratitude. Going inwards, coming to the space of the inner being that I am. I, the eternal being, radiate light. I radiate peace. And in this awareness of peace, I experience gratitude. Gratitude for being alive. Gratitude for the ones who are nearest and dearest. Gratitude for those who are far away and yet are connected on the same wavelength. Gratitude to every single person I meet. Gratitude to nature, to Mother Earth. I hold the space of gratitude And I can feel myself empowered as a result of this. The rays of gratitude reach out, allowing the sense of gratitude to stay with me. I come back to the consciousness of the moment here and now, the now with a heart that's full, with a heart that feels abundant, with a heart that wants to share and give. Thank you. I hope you felt the things that I was feeling and experiencing. And the heart opens up more and more as I feel gratitude. All the positive attributes begin to emerge within the soul. Kindness and compassion and so on and so on. Can you imagine gratitude and negativity together? It doesn't happen. If I'm feeling gratitude, there's no anger. If I'm feeling gratitude, there's no ego. There's no attachment. There's no greed. And so gratitude eliminates negativity, and gratitude allows the expression of positivity and positive values to be expressed. So let me practice gratitude and cultivate gratitude. I'm sure that many of you have lots of stories of gratitude in relation to coronavirus, even though it's a sad and dark story. Everything that happens is a silver lining. And there have been many, many positive things that have come out from this particular pandemic episode. But this is a story that touched me deeply. A 93-year-old was in hospital in Italy with the virus. Magically, he recovered and he was about to be going home. And the young doctor who had been treating him brought him the bill. And part of it was the stay in hospital. Okay. Part of it was in particular for the ventilator that they'd had to use for him. And the old man looked at this invoice and said, "My goodness." And his eyes would have seen that the cost of the ventilator for a day had been 500 euros. And he started to cry. And the young doctor thought maybe he doesn't have the money to be able to manage the expenses. And so he comforted the old man, saying, "Look, if you can't pay it, don't worry. I'll try and sort this out with the administration." And the man said, "No, I can pay it. That's not the problem." But I was moved to tears because I thought about my whole life and how God has given me oxygen and so much more. But at this moment, I was thinking of oxygen. God has given me the air to breathe freely. God never gave me a bill for a day or a month or a year. And here now I'm paying for oxygen. And God did not ask me for anything in return for all that He has given me. I'm sure that when you hear the story, you also feel the same. That I just haven't thanked God for all that God has provided. And for some of you, if you replace that with the universe gave me this body, the universe gave me the air, the earth, the water, the space, everything, everything. And still, even though we have violated nature and aggressed nature in such a devastating manner, nature still, even today, continues to give. I mean, the things that have happened in India over the years with nature and the environment are quite horrific. But the original, natural awareness that people had, in which, you know, if the mangoes are on the tree, they're not just for me, but they're also for the monkeys. Here's a story, another one. Brahma Baba, the founder, lived in Mount Abu for the last period. Prior to that, Karachi and many other places, but from 1950 through to 1969, when he left, he was in Mount Abu, very rarely moving out, and certainly after 1965, not going out at all, at all. And a gardener who wasn't a yogi, but he knew the terrain, he knew the agriculture, so he'd stayed on to be with us, looking after the big, big garden that was there. And he came to Brahma Baba one day saying that, I don't know what to do about these monkeys. They're eating all the mangoes and taking them away. And so should I throw stones at them? I don't feel like it, but maybe that's what I should do. Maybe I should shake the tree with my stick, and what should I do? And Brahma Baba looked at him and smiled and said, well, it's mango season, and do you want the monkeys to go to the market and buy mangoes? We can do that, but the monkeys need these mangoes. And the gardener laughed and said, okay. So there's a very ancient tradition in most indigenous cultures that says, respect the earth, have gratitude for the earth, have gratitude for all that the earth is giving. Give gratitude for every form of life that exists on this planet. I don't know their contribution, but there's something that they're contributing to the whole. And so our gratitude for all aspects of nature, for all forms of life and all creatures, can keep this holistic aspect of the universe going. And when we forget about gratitude and we just exploit, then we don't realize that we're actually destroying not our habitat or a species, but we're destroying the world and our own future. So gratitude is absolutely vital for human survival. Never mind good feelings or anything else, but even just in terms of the world around us and everything that's in this world of ours. That's how important gratitude is. You know, when they do research now in terms of positive psychology, they discover many beautiful things. And there's a lady who won the Templeton Prize in positive psychology some years ago. And I had the good fortune of being with her and spending time with her just prior to the event that we were both speaking at. And I said to her, how come it's only in recent times, towards the end of the 20th century, that we've started to hear about positive psychology? We never heard about it before. And it was always negative psychology that existed, the anger, the lust, the jealousy, all of these things that so many of our very famous analysts of the end of the 19th century told us about, and 20th century carried on with that research. And she gave me a very interesting response. She said that if you think about it, all the negative feelings and emotions that come like a sledgehammer, and they hit you hard. Anger, It doesn't come and go fast, it stays. And the impact of it stays. Jealousy, bitterness, whatever, whatever. It comes like a sledgehammer, hits you hard, and it stays. And so it's been very easy to study the negative feelings and emotions. But the positive feelings and emotions come fleetingly, and they're very subtle. And so they come and they disappear. And so we didn't have the tools to be able to explore these and examine and analyze and measure and weigh all of these things. But today, we do have that equipment, we do have those tools through all the advances in science and technology. And so we can measure feelings, we can measure the impact of feelings on the human system. And now we know that the study of positive feelings and emotions has been very, very helpful for us to understand human nature. But what we've also discovered is that there are certain things we can do to enhance positive feelings and emotions. And then, of course, there are things that deplete us from those positive feelings and emotions. But there are certain foods, or maybe just specific things that I personally like. And maybe when I get a chance to eat those certain foods, my mood swings up and I feel very good. There are positive feelings generated. But what happens with some of these things when it's food or drink or even the adrenaline that comes through something exciting in a sports game or an adventure? Well, all of these things can enhance your positive feelings for a short time, but they can't sustain them for a longer period of time. And sometimes it even is that it reaches a peak and you can continue doing the same thing. But after that peak, then there's a big dip. Very simple example. Now, I can't see how many of you raise your hands and who's raising their hands, so it's totally invisible and incognito. But how many of us enjoy chocolate? Many would say, including myself. So if I enjoy chocolate, there's whether it's the chemical in the chocolate or whether it's just my taste, whatever it is, but the good feeling factor increases. And then if I have the discipline of saying enough is enough, great. But if I don't have that discipline and I'm foolish enough to think that eating more chocolate is going to enhance this feeling good factor, there's going to be a problem, not just with my weight, but also with how I actually physically feel. Eat a tad too much chocolate, and the feeling good factor has gone. It really has. And that's applicable to anything. Whatever it is you eat, you drink, it's a peak and then it goes the other way. Music. I love music. I love listening to a particular type of music. And I think I could stay day and night listening to this, but there'll come a peak, and then I'll say, you know, I think I need to have space in here. I need silence in here. And so I switch the music off. There are other things. I love sunsets, but today is a cloudy day. There's not going to be a sunset. So am I going to let myself feel bad because I've missed seeing my sunset? So things aren't steady. Things can change and shift all the time with many things. But she said there's one thing that consistently enhances good feelings, but also it sustains good feelings. Even after you stop, those good feelings are sustained for a considerable period of time. And that one thing is meditation. And she didn't say which type of meditation, and I let you choose which type it is you want to experiment with. But my practice is of Raj Yoga meditation, and I could say definitely to her, it's true. The more I meditate, the happier I become, the more the positive feelings increase. And then, yes, I know that with these positive feelings, I can go ahead and serve. If I don't have those positive feelings, what sort of service am I going to do? I'm going to be sharing negativity with others. So gratitude induces good feelings. And of course, meditation and gratitude are very, very close together. Sometimes in my meditations, I'm just expressing gratitude. Gratitude for my own good fortune, gratitude for the one above, gratitude for all that's happened in my life, gratitude for what's happening to me right now, gratitude for my family, gratitude for my friends, gratitude for my teachers. You can see that there's a very long list of people that we have to be we can have feelings of gratitude for. And equally, sometimes some of those feelings have turned a little sour or a little bitter, and that's painful. Say, for example, parents. Parents try and do the best they can for their kids, but somewhere, somehow, things don't always turn out as they intended to. And instead of experiencing happiness, children experience sorrow. Many, many factors and reasons, but it can happen. As a child, I experienced sorrow in some situation or another. Today, as an adult, do I want to hold on to that feeling and pain of sorrow? Or am I able to turn it around so that I see it as part of my life journey, as part of the growing process in which I was able to learn a great deal? So, can I forgive and let go and just say thank you? Very important that I pick out where it is I don't feel gratitude and turn it around so that there is gratitude in my heart. And of course, it makes the vibrations you're emitting towards those individuals, if they're still around or still in touch with you, it's going to make those relationships become very, very sweet. And if there isn't gratitude, and instead of gratitude, a rejection, then those vibrations also reach out to individuals. And so I'll feel that there isn't that loving connection, there isn't that closeness. But it wasn't their fault, it was me. And so, can I turn any other feelings that I have into gratitude? And as a result of cultivating gratitude, all my own positive energies and positive feelings of love, of joy, of truth, of justice, all of that will increase and make me feel blessed and happy. I suggest we have a second meditation now, again, just for a few minutes. And in this space, I'd like to bring in the concept of the divine, because there's a lot we have to be grateful for to the divine. And I'll pick up on that in just a little while. But for now, let's have a meditation in which there's gratitude and appreciation for the one above. Sitting comfortably, just letting the body relax, but also staying alert. I turn my attention inwards. And as I do this, I can feel the presence of the being of light, the supreme, the highest on high. the source of love, light, and truth. And my heart gives thanks to the Supreme for all that I have been blessed with, for the times when I felt unsafe, insecure, and then suddenly felt protection, for the times when I lost faith in everyone around me and began to feel hopeless. And suddenly, somehow, hope was ignited in my heart, and faith and trust returned. For the time when I felt totally restless and uncomfortable, and a ray of light touched my heart, and I felt peace, and I could connect with the peace from above and feel the peace within. The times when I felt surrounded by love, love that was unconditional, non-judgmental, and that love helped me and carried me through the challenges I was facing. Deep gratitude and appreciation, my thoughts return to the physical dimension, here and now, but carrying this sweet experience with myself. Thank you. In a world in which there's so much suffering, it's difficult to say thank you to God. But yet, something I must understand is that my suffering is not because of God. God created a world which had abundance, beauty, truth, love, and joy. All our traditions tell us this, whether it's the indigenous movements, the people who tell us of dream time, who tell us of paradise, of utopia, or whether it's the histories and legends of our different civilizations. There was a time when there was plenty and it was for all. But from that world, a Garden of Eden, a garden of perfection, human beings did at first enjoy it and then began to do a few crazy things and more crazy things, and in the last few hundred years, totally topsy-turvy things. And so we've created that pain and suffering for ourselves and inflicted it on each other. And when I accept that whatever has been put out is coming back to me, then I begin to realize that it's not God who causes any suffering. God is there to help, God is there to support, God is there to uplift, God is there to empower, God is there to provide guidance and wisdom. And when I begin to think a little bit differently in this way, and my heart begins to appreciate and feel gratitude, it opens up the door for all the treasures from above to reach me in a state of denial or in a state of rejection. The treasures are there, but I'm not able to open the door. But coming back to an awareness of the eternity of the soul, the eternal being that I am, then the door opens. I can feel the presence of God, and in my thanksgiving, in my gratitude, everything reaches me, and I just have to open this apron and let it be filled. Just be able to catch it and stay with it and keep it. It needs a clean vessel. And if the vessel here, the awareness is clean, then I can catch all the love that's coming from the divine and all the power and everything else that accompanies this. So let me be able to experience that and to feel it in my own life. There are so many things that I can be grateful for. In your lists, you would have come across those, but I'd just like to summarize. Firstly, I'm grateful for my own fortune of who I am, and what I have, all the things that I've been blessed with. Gratitude for my parents. They nurtured me, they sustained me, they taught me, and maybe were a little bit strong in their teaching from time to time, but they also cared for me and loved me and gave me so much. All my teachers, all the different teachers I've had. And firstly, I'm thinking about all the actual teaching teachers, the ones at school, the ones at university. They all gave me their time, their attention, their care. It was a vocation for them. It wasn't just a career. It wasn't just a money-making thing. It was a vocation. And so they gave their best to me. All my friends, all the ones who I've had, who also have been my teachers, so the unofficial teachers, and maybe I've had many of those also. My friends loved me, taught me, supported me, and took me further in my life's journey. My family today, the family I was born into is one, but the family I'm with today is of others. And so I'm grateful to each and every one of those. They have given me something very special, individually, personally. Collectively, yes, many things, but from each one individually, I have learned something. I've taken a gift of a particular quality that I've seen in them, a trait that I've appreciated, and that has helped me develop that within myself also. And so I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for nature, the environment, and all that nature has blessed me with. Probably, generally, there are also many other things that you want to be thankful for. Science and technology might be on your list, and why not? They also have done so much for me. So every moment of the day, let the heart give thanks and appreciate all that you have received. And when you feel that you're blessed, then the blessings upon blessings continue to come to you. And life becomes very sweet. And because of that, you feel sweet. And what you're sharing with others is filled with sweetness also. And you show them the path of gratitude so that they can learn to walk on that path and benefit from that path. Thank you for listening. And I'm going to hand you over to Gabrielle.
Thank you, Sister Jayanti. Thank you so much for sharing some very practical ways of developing gratitude and outlining the connection between spiritual, emotional, and mental well-being and the role that gratitude plays in uplifting our immune system and our overall well-being. And look, I loved the exercise you shared with us to write down 100 points of gratitude from our earliest memories until now. And of course, we can go on to 500 if we wish. And then, on that daily basis, at the close of the day, writing down 10 things that we're grateful for that occurred during the day, and not the same things every day, but different ones. And then again, doing the same thing in the morning, and outlining that it's in this way that we really start naturally looking for things that we're grateful for. And I love that key point there. Naturally, we start looking for things that we're grateful for, and how this changes the neuroplasticity of our brain and establishes emotional equilibrium. So I've made a personal note to start this tonight. And I also took note of the multiplying effect of acts of kindness, which create an increase in the positive energy levels, and how gratitude eliminates negativity and allows positive energy to flourish. And I really deeply appreciated that connection you made between gratitude and meditation and the connection with the divine. So that was some real key messages in there that reached my heart, and I'm sure they reached the heart of others too. If you're open, I'd be lovely to be able to ask you some questions that have come in. There's a few here. Is that okay?
Sure, sure.
So look, I'm just looking at one here. This one here is saying it's from Jacqueline. And the question is, dear Sister Jayanti, do you think a journal is a good idea, and does it improve mental health?
I think it's an excellent idea, and definitely what it does is just show you what's going on inside of yourself, your own inner world, because the journal is something very personal. It's only for you, it's not to show anyone. And so you're able to express things that you're feeling that maybe you hadn't been able to articulate before. And so mental health means getting to know myself, getting to a balance of my feelings and emotions within myself. And so, yes, I think it does improve mental health, but on a spiritual path also, it's very, very helpful.
Thank you. Look, here's another one coming through, and it's a question that's saying, sometimes we show our gratitude to others through kind words or gifts, but the recipient will feel that we are obliged to them. So how can we handle such a situation?
I think if I make it my nature to be kind, then there is only kindness that I'm going to share. And so I can very genuinely have a conversation with the other and say, look, it's really nothing that I want from you, but I just want you to know that you're appreciated, you're loved, or whatever, whatever, whatever. And so if my nature is to be kind, then it's not a one-off thing, but it's steady, it's consistent, it's constant. And so then they begin to understand that this is my way of being, this is who I am. And it has to be like that, not just one off and say, oh, well, they didn't really appreciate it because of this, 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 and this. And so I stop. No, I'm not looking for a return. And so they'll begin to feel that and understand that.
And here's another one that's come through. I was wondering whether you could give us some ideas about how we can keep an attitude of gratitude when we're going through challenging times or situations. How do we keep gratitude in our hearts all the time?
When I'm going through a challenging situation, especially at that time, I have to cultivate gratitude, because that's going to keep my heart open, and I'm going to be open to receiving God's light, God's love, and God's guidance and strength that will carry me through that difficult period. If I don't have gratitude in those difficult times, I've shut the door on the possibility of help reaching me. If I have gratitude, if I'm looking for things to be grateful for in those times, then I'm keeping the door of help from above and help from around me to come to me, and it'll help me go through that period. And so it's not a paradox, it's actually very logical. to have gratitude at those moments is going to give me help.
Sister Jayanti, this is one that's come through, and it's in relation to connection with God. You talked about the connection between God and gratitude. So how did you develop a connection with the divine, and how has that changed?
When I understood that I, the soul, am a being of light, conscient energy, just light, and that God the Supreme is also a being of light, with the difference that I have limited peace and love, and God has unlimited peace and love and all the other positive attributes. So when I understood this, I started practicing the practice of being here, being the soul. And in that awareness of being the soul, it was as if the door opened and I was able to connect with the divine, and all the qualities of the divine were able to reach me. And so it happened very quickly. And so I know that what I have to do is to maintain this awareness. And the more I do this, the easier it becomes to connect. And the stage that I'm at today, after many years, I know that I should be able to keep a continuous link, not just from time to time, but if possible, all the time. And I can feel it when I feel the presence of God with me as my companion at all times. Then this constant energy, which is a very pure, very high, very protective energy. And when I slip away from the awareness of the soul into what these eyes see, and I get trapped by those things, then I have to work hard to come back again to the experience of that presence. And so the trick is stay here and look at everything from the eye of spirituality, from the eye of eternity, rather than the physical limited eyes.
Okay, Sister Jayanti, another one coming in through the chat box. A minimalist leader, what are some strategies for creating a gratitude ripple in workplaces that are rigid and where people are shut down?
My behavior, my vibrations can change things. I believe that. Here's an atmosphere which is peaceless. And if I can stay steady and peaceful and appreciative, then that creates a different energy. And I have to be consistent with this, not just from time to time and drop it off my list from time to time, but just creating that awareness within myself of peace, of truth, and gratefulness. Then I share this in vibrations wherever it is I am. And if a person comes to speak to me, then I'll be able to express these ideas to that individual so that they begin to feel the difference also. And so it's not by lectures to 50 people that I can shift things, but one by one at a time, I can help change the consciousness that they have to the consciousness which is an elevated spiritual consciousness of gratitude.
Thank you. And I've got another one coming through here. How to make the feeling of gratitude last longer than the moment. And then there's a second question. It's a good one, isn't it? How to cultivate gratitude on demand and make the feeling last. So two interconnected questions there.
I want you to experiment with this thing of 100 or 500 points, and then at night and morning, try it for 10 days and see what it feels like. You will feel that then it's not just a momentary sense of gratitude here, today, and gone. No, but it's then a feeling that stays with you longer and longer. And it's there for you on demand because it's there all the time. It's not that you cut yourself away from it and you have to find it again. But no, this exercise is really very, very meaningful. Even in 10 days, you'll begin to feel a difference. But please continue longer than 10 days. Continue with it for a month, several months, even a few years. Somebody did this exercise for 2 years and told me that he could actually feel that the plasticity of the brain had been changing. And so now he was like a different person, very open, very kind. He was a good person before anyway, but he could feel the difference in how he had moved forward. And this was, it isn't after 2 years that he felt this, but through that period. But he was just giving me feedback of what had happened in 2 years. And it was all very, very positive. So I thoroughly recommend that you try this.
I think that answer's a little connected to these next two questions, but I'd like to ask them anyway. Um, how can you remain grateful when negative things happen around you? And then this next question is similar. It's very easy to say and hear about about being grateful or having an attitude of gratitude, but there's always someone in their own very strange attitude. So how do you be great? How do you have gratitude with that person? They're both connected. Something specific and something more general there in terms of being around people who perhaps don't appreciate some gratitude.
Even if I'm sick, there's something I can be grateful for. I have eyes that can see the sunshine, that can see the flowers and the beauty. And if I don't have eyes, well, I have ears. I can hear music. I can hear uplifting things. So my point is, look for something that you can be grateful for. And usually there's things that happen that are not very pleasant in life, but it's the minority, it's not the majority. The majority of things are actually there, but I don't appreciate them until I lose them. For example, I have two hands. I'm grateful that I do have two hands. I can do so much with them. But normally, I don't say, thank you, hands. But now, let me appreciate them. I'm grateful for my feet. I'm mobile. I can go from here to there. And if I'm not mobile, well, I'm grateful that I can talk and communicate my ideas. You know, there's somebody I know who had multiple injuries. And the only thing that he can do at the moment, and he's been a meditator, which is why he's been able to survive, all he can do is to send messages with one finger. And he's doing that. Technology is helping, but he's sending messages with one finger. And he's happy. He shared his whole story in a book, and he's grateful. So I'm not at that point where everything's been taken away from me except the use of a finger. I'm grateful that I have all that I have. And whatever is happening, if I am grateful internally, my mind is in the right space to be able to find a solution to deal with the things that are not right. If I'm not grateful, my mind is filled with heaviness about all the problems and the difficulties. Am I going to find a solution? Probably not. But gratefulness opens up the possibility of creativity and a solution being found and being able to walk through a door that had been closed before. And so generally, yes, that's what I need to do. And very specifically, if there's one individual that's challenging, can I send them good vibrations? Early in the morning, let me make time for my own meditation. And at the end of the meditation, very specifically emerge that person just for a moment, not for 30 minutes or half an hour, no, just for a moment, because my meditation is first and foremost for the recharging of my own inner battery. But then after the meditation, I emerge them just for a moment and then send them God's light and love. That's it. I'm not asking God for anything. I'm not expecting God to do anything, but I'm just sending that individual God's light. And who knows what magic can happen when God's light touches the intellect.
That's a beautiful answer. Thank you, Sister Jayanti. Here's another question that's come through. Is there one moment in your life that you are most grateful for?
Yes, there is. I'm very, very grateful that in several meetings with the founder, Brahma Baba, there was always something very special, but there was one particular moment in which I could feel that he was lifting me out of my ordinary consciousness onto another level of awareness. We do eyes open meditation, so we're able to transmit God's light, God's love through the eyes to the other. And I could feel that reaching me. And it was carrying me beyond the limits of this physical world into another dimension of light. And that was a very transformative moment. And so I'll always be grateful for that.
That's lovely. Thank you for sharing that personal experience, Sister Jayanti. Here's one from another viewer. They're asking, Dear Sister Jayanti, how do we find a balance between looking from within our inner soul and being grateful and being assertive and protective of ourselves?
If I'm looking inside and finding gratitude and gratefulness and thankfulness within myself, it's a very positive energy, which in itself is assertive. And so, in a situation which is challenging, that power that I have within myself, which is pure and positive, is going to emerge. But it's not going to be harsh, it's not going to be angry. Sometimes assertiveness carries with itself a tinge of anger or a tinge of righteousness, which isn't very healthy. But with gratitude in my heart, I can be absolutely positive and assertive. This is what I know I have to do, and I won't be downtrodden. I won't be pushed under the carpet. This is what I know is right. And so I'll make my stand, and I will be positive and assertive, but it'll be with that background of gratitude and appreciation.
We've got a couple more questions here, Sister Jayanti. This one is saying, Sister Jayanti, you told us that we've devastated nature, and yet we all use the facilities of science. So what are some practical ways to stop devastating nature?
Let me simplify my footprint, which means, am I aware of what it is I'm taking? And I'm not giving much in return until I start to meditate and actually send light and love and purity to nature. But apart from that, I'm not doing anything. I'm just taking and taking. But yes, I appreciate what nature has given me. And so now I say, can I simplify and reduce my footprint? And lockdown has been wonderful to give nature a short spell of rest. And you can see that nature's in recovery mode at the moment. And so nature's been very grateful for COVID-19.
Thank you. And we'll just finish with this question. Sister Jayanti, this is a question that's saying, how long does it take to get a sense of the divine, and how can I do it?
Understand the soul. Go deeper and deeper into the subject of what is the soul. And I'm going to do a plug for Raj Yoga courses, and Gabriel will tell you where to find out more. But in the Raj Yoga meditation course, the first subject is the soul. Because in the consciousness of this identity, I can't come anywhere into the presence of God. I can't feel it. But in the awareness of the soul, then I can feel the presence of God, and I can even connect with God so that I develop a personal relationship with God. But the foundation of all of this is the awareness of who I am, self-realization, soul consciousness, and that leads to God realization and God consciousness.
Perhaps with that we could have another meditation, Sister Jayanti. How would that be?
I'd love to do that.
Yes.
Sure.
Let's do that.
Yeah,
And then we'll do some close out. But thanks everyone for your questions. A great variety there, and we'll keep a transcript of them. Thank you for the questions. But now we're going into a meditation where Sister Jayanti will take us into some of those experiences that she's spoken of in her talk this evening.
I become aware of the light that I am. I shine. I radiate light in the center of the forehead. I am peace. I am light. And in this awareness, I can feel the presence of the divine, the supreme, the being of light, of love, of truth. And now, I feel the presence of the divine, did by God's light. I feel the light of love, the light of truth. God's light within me. God's light radiates out into the universe. God's light makes me aware of all that I've been blessed with. I'd forgotten, and now I remember. God's light is the light of truth and helps me differentiate between truth and all the other stories of convenience floating around. Blessed by God, I have the capacity to let go of falsehood and become true. And the power of truth radiates out into the world. Holding this loving light and love and truth. I come back to the physical dimension, but now knowing that truth and love are with me, and I feel grateful for that. Thank you. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Sister Jayanti. That was a very beautiful journey you've taken us on this evening. It's been inspiring having you with us, and I know that I'm speaking on behalf of many, many people that we hope that sometime soon we might see you in person in this part of the world. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts. For those of you who would like to know a little bit more about what we're doing in the Brahma Kumaris, the first thing you might like to check out is our Eternity Inc. bookshop. It's online, and if you'd like to get some great resources, please browse it and download from our online bookshop. There's a lot of goodies there, and they're all at not-for-profit prices. Please check out Sister Janti's books at Eternity Inc., and she's highlighting 3 here: Awaken Your Inner Wisdom, Inner Light, and Spirituality in Daily Life. She's also written books on experiencing the divine, and I think you'll very much appreciate those as well. It's free shipping. Just use the coupon there. The code for all purchases over $30 at not-for-profit prices. And if you'd like to learn more about Raj Yoga meditation, we are presently doing online courses, and our courses are always free of charge. So visit our website for something special near you. And finally, can I let you know about our next episode of Open Your Eyes to the Universe? It's with Mike George, and he's an author of 16 books which are focused on the undoing of the illusions and delusions behind our personal stress and difficult relationships. So with insight, wisdom, and humour, he brings together the 3 key strands of the 21st century: self-awareness, emotional and spiritual intelligence, and continuous unlearning. So he'll be talking about being yourself, knowing what is in the way actually is the way. And so the next one is on Saturday, the 27th of June at 6 p.m. AEST. So until then, goodbye. We look forward to seeing you next month, 27th of June. And may your attitude, thinking, and feeling be filled with gratitude. Om Shanti.